let's look at how SuperSync can import tracks from your iOS devices into any computer running SuperSync. This can be used to move the music or playlist from your iOS device onto a computer not associated with iTunes, for instance your work computer. For this demonstration, I'll use the term iOS device, which can mean any iPod, iPad, or iPhone device. SuperSync lets you move the music, video files, and playlists from your iOS device directly into another library. To begin, get your copy of SuperSync running, iTunes open, and the first iOS device ready to plug in by its USB or FireWire cable. When you launch SuperSync, you will see the contents of your iTunes library in the main window. SuperSync works by having your iTunes library as the local library and compares and merges with a second library called the remote library. In this case, the remote library will be an iOS device. From the remote menu, select Connect to iPod, iPhone, or iPad. Now plug in your iOS device and SuperSync should find it and connect to its library. Once the iPod device is connected to SuperSync, its contents will appear in the main SuperSync window. In the light blue filter tree on the left, you can now choose from different viewing options. You can choose to display tracks from the iOS device, tracks from your local library, or tracks that are synchronized and in both libraries. You can also only view audio files or video files or just playlists. Applications and other data are not accessible. iPod, iPhone, iPad libraries are read-only. This means that you can transfer a track from the device to your computer, but SuperSync cannot put tracks on the iOS device. Only iTunes can legally do that. In the main window, you can see that the tracks have different color codes. Blue means that the track is only on your device, gray means that the track is found in your library on your local computer, and green means that the track is both on your device and in the local library. In other words, it is synchronized. You can browse all of your unsynchronized iOS tracks by clicking on Remote Unsynchronized in the filter tree. Now only the tracks on your device that you don't already have locally will be displayed. You can now select one or more of the blue tracks and click the Get button from the upper right-hand corner of SuperSync. In this example, I'll transfer all the tracks from the iPod to my iTunes library by selecting all and clicking Get. After initiating the transfer, you can open the Transfer Status window from the File menu, or it may be configured to open automatically. The Transfer Status window shows a list of files to copy, time remaining, and the progress of your transfers. It can also show a list of tracks that are skipped or fail to copy. You can select any track to see the status of the copied files. To clear the successfully copied files, periodically click on the Clear Copied button, or click on the Auto Clear checkbox to automatically remove the successfully copied tracks from the Progress window. If SuperSync has a problem copying a track or skips a track because of a possible duplicate, you'll see it listed in the Transfer Status window where you can get more detail about what happened. You can import your iPod's playlists by selecting one or more of them in the left menu. Then click on the Get button. After you've finished importing the tracks and playlists you wanted, disconnect your device from your computer by choosing the Close Remote Library under the Remote menu. If you have an older iPod, SuperSync will need to mount its file system like a standard drive. If you've formatted your iPod using a Macintosh, you won't be able to access it from a Windows machine and vice versa. If you're having problems accessing an older iPod, try running SuperSync on a different platform. Unfortunately, Apple doesn't officially support accessing iOS data, so some metadata may not be available for synchronizing. Also, SuperSync cannot modify the contents of any iPod device, as Apple doesn't allow that either. If you experience any problems during the process, visit supersync.com and we have a troubleshooting guide for iOS devices.